here we've got a dance party, just like you're all going to be doing in your homework, right? But in this case, what I've got are two dancers and then a big old shiny disco ball right here. So I'm not going to get too into the code itself. I'll brush through it really quickly. It's building off of the same concepts that I showed you in the bouncing ball example with many balls. You can see right here I've got these variables dancer 1, dancer 2, and they are the objects. They hold, these variables hold the object of the class body, and body defines how the dancers move. I've also got that light I've got as a background, right? And that's just a function that I call at the beginning, at the outset. I've got a little rotation here. I planned on doing something with it. I never actually did. If you use this and want to adopt it for something else that makes this really interesting when it's spinning around, it is spinning around, but it's, you can't really tell. Go for it. So that's what this function is doing right here. And you can see I'm using push, translate, and pop in order to manipulate these objects in here. Now, in the body, in the constructor, I've got a couple of things going on. I've got RGB, and so that accounts for the color of the dancers. Every time I load it, they're a different color. They show up in a different place because their position is different. And then I've got some other things in here. The wiggle, seed, and increment. Those are to get their body shaken and moving. And then wide and high helps determine how each of these is their own attribute for how tall they are and how wide they are, right? So here's a short and stocky-ish dancer, and here's a taller, lankier one. Right? And then there's two that are medium builds. So inside of here, I've got a couple methods, one for update, one for checking the wall. The way that I'm updating their position is I'm just moving them randomly every time through the loop. So every time I call update, they either don't move, or they move one pixel to the left, one pixel to the right, one pixel up, one pixel down. That's it. And it gives you this kind of like jitterbug sort of thing, right? And then all I'm doing right here is I'm just saying if they move out of bounds of the sketch, then just move them back in. Nothing bouncing or anything like that. Inside of the render, I'm doing, again, a push, translate, and pop. So I push it out of the regular drawing stack. I translate it to the position where I want to draw it. I'm then doing a little bit of rotation, which is a noise. I'm calling that function noise, and I'm using that to determine the rotation, which is why it's moving back and forth like this. And then I'm drawing a rectangle, and then I'm drawing an ellipse right next to one another, and then I pop it back out, right? So the translation is moving to wherever these bodies are in space, and then I'm just drawing the rectangle at 0, 0 from the translation, and then the ellipse I'm just drawing like up at the top of it, so it looks like a little head. So this is the sketch. Poke through the code. I'm going to post it. It's in the comments here. You'll be able to parse it out. And then inside of the draw loop, I'm just saying dancer 1 update, dancer 2 update, dancer 1 wall check, dancer, same thing as the bouncing ball. But what if we wanted to, instead of having these random colors, what if we wanted each dancer to have a specific color instead of having it randomly generated inside of the constructor? Well, we can do that by passing arguments into the constructor. When we first instantiate this up here, we can pass an argument and then set it just in the same way that I'm doing with these random things, right? So what I want to do is I want to have specific RGB values for each of these guys. What I'm going to do here is, up here, what I want to do is I want to pass a red value, a green value, and a blue value, right? So we can say red is going to be 160, green is going to be 10, and blue is going to be 220, so this will be kind of like a magenta-like. And then we can do this as a kind of orangish. We'll say 240, 160, 0. Maybe it'll be yellowish. I don't know. So now what I'm doing is I'm passing these arguments, but and if I run this, right, if I save it and run it, it doesn't do anything, right? I'm passing these arguments, but they aren't going anywhere. So what I want to do is inside of the constructor, I want to say have a place for these to go. So I'm going to create, I'm going to let the constructor know that it's going to expect 3 arguments, R, G, and B. And then here we're going to say this R is going to descend from the constructor, and it's going to be whatever that value is. And this will be G, and then this will be B. Now when I save this and run it, we can see here's my purple one, here's my orange one, and every time I do it, I now have the same color. I picked these colors. These other elements are randomized, right? So it's still where they start, how they jitter around, how wide and tall they are. All that is still randomly decided, but now I'm able to pass the constructor from here specific, very specific sorts of data that define how this thing behaves and operates that I get to choose. So this is a really great way to start to think about how you could do things algorithmically too. And in the next video set, which is about arrays, it's a different chunk of things, we'll not only see how to make a whole bunch of objects really quickly, so we'll be able to make hundreds of these dancers, but we'll also start to see how we can use this to use these in conjunction with like a for loop or something like that to vary things really quickly and automatically for us. So this is the completion of our first objects tutorial, and we'll move on to arrays next.